Laura A. Grace here, the author of Dear Author, Letters from Bookish Fangirl, Team Lines of Poetry Collection, and Fighting God Anime Devotional for Otakus, which is free on a variety of platforms. I'll leave a link down below in case if you'd like to check it out. Happy Wednesday, my friends! I'm so excited that you're here, and welcome to Top 5 Wednesday. We have another series of prompts this month, and I'm super duper pumped. Granted, I just realized we're like halfway through the month, which is pretty shocking, but that's okay. Let's go ahead and jump into this Top 5 Wednesday today. But if you're not familiar with it, Top 5 Wednesday was formed by Lainey back in 2013. The group is now since on Goodreads, and I'll leave a link down below. Our current host, Alex, has been creating a series of prompts, and basically on Wednesdays, we answer that said prompt with 5 books, or in this case, manga, that reflect that said prompt. Today is all about debut authors, which I guess would be like debut mangaka, but it's, we're twisting it a little bit because obviously, like, the manga releases in Japan first, so none of these are technically like debut novels, but we're gonna say they're debut manga in the States because they came out this year. But debut novels are basically an author or a mangaka's first book or manga that releases. And we're spotlighting some of my top 5 favorite. Though, I don't know if they're necessarily my top 5 favorites, but I was like, when it comes to debut books, you need all the hype, you need all the love from like readers and the support to, especially like in Japan, I think it's really important there that for a manga to keep going, like the more interest it has, the more volumes that are more likely to like release. I don't know if that's necessarily the same when it comes to novels and like getting published in the States, but it's still really important just to have that support system. So I thought it'd just be fun to spotlight 5 different manga that released this year that I haven't necessarily talked about on my channel, but really, really enjoyed. And I do apologize in advance because 4 of these, I was about to say they're digital only, but they're not. But when I read these, all of them were digital except for one title. Though I know 2 of them are at least in paperback, so that's pretty exciting. But let's jump right in. For number 1, I am going to say Blue Period. Yes, I read Blue Period, and I feel bad because I think I've only talked about this manga like once, and I was able to receive a arc from NetGalley when it first released, and wow, like at that time I was attempting to do like drawing. I had won a free kawaii class to, I can't remember the lady's name, but I won a free kawaii class and I even went to one of her workshops and it was so inspiring. But then like what made it even like more inspiring was when I started Blue Period. Like this manga deserves the hype that it is getting. It is extremely, extremely good. I can't remember the main guy's name, but I really liked him and he was so relatable because he's like, I don't get art. And that was me. That was me for many, many years. And when I attended Fullsdale University to get a bachelor's in graphic design, we talked about that. And there was a TED Talk that I had watched that was like life-changing for me when he was like, people are like, I don't get art, but he's like, you don't have to get art to appreciate it. And I was like, mind blown. I was so mind blown. So I felt like Blue Period was just extremely relatable to me to have this young man not get art, but then want to pursue it and really realizes how much he loves it. Because I do feel like that's me. I don't practice drawing nearly enough. I'll be honest. I rather read manga, so I don't practice a lot, but I just felt that this manga is like perfect for inspiring artists. I mean, there are so many details that really teach you about being an artist, which was surprising to me because sometimes it's a little bit text heavy, but like you really do learn about art. And it was really, really good. And I have really considered reading more in the series because I just really enjoyed the characters and I love the main guy's journey and just him pursuing art. It's very inspiring. And I think anybody could like enjoy it, even if like they're not an artist, but I just felt the time I read it, it really resonated with me. Speaking of text heavy, for number 2, I'm going to say Medalist. Oh my goodness, this was another really epic. This is a digital only title from Kodansha, and I do have a review of it up on my channel. It also is at times text heavy, and again, I don't think I said the first time, but when I say text heavy, I don't mean that in a bad way or anything. I really feel like both of these manga teach you about what they're writing about. So Blue Period is art, and then Medalist is like ice skating. And I really, really enjoyed it. Though Medalist surprised me in how it really does highlight the dark side of ice skating. And what I mean by that is a lot of sports manga that I have read, usually I feel like it can be pretty feel good, and you're rooting for the characters, they're learning how to be a team, and you're just seeing them grow. And in Medalist, you do see that, but then you see like the crazy amount of pressure that's on these young kids to get into ice skating and to be professional ice skaters. Like, our main girl is way past the age of when a parent would get their child into ice skating so they could do professional one day. So there's like a lot of pressure riding on her, and it was like at times really stressful for me as a reader. And that definitely reflects how well the manga wrote this story, because while there are those like darker, stressful parts, I feel, there are such feel-good moments, and the art is so incredibly good. Like, the ending was epic, and I need to get volume 2. I'm not sure if volume 2 actually is released yet, but the art on these covers is absolutely beautiful, and it is a fantastic story, and it teaches much more in depth than I expected going in about ice skating and the moves, not just like the pressure on these kids as they try to enter this professional world. And speaking of sports, for number 3, I'm going to say Blue Lock. Blue Lock was like the most interesting sports manga I have ever read. Like, take everything that I feel like usually is associated with the sports manga genre, and Blue Lock just flips it on its head. So rather than focusing on a team and teamwork, I mean, we have like, I feel how I associate in my brain, it's like Hunger Games, but with soccer, and nobody dies. But it's pretty cutthroat. It's pretty cutthroat, even though nobody's dying. I mean, their soccer career or potential future soccer career is on the line, hardcore. So there's a lot of pressure on these young kids too, well, younger guys. But what made it interesting is because it is a darker toned manga as a whole, because the one dude that like leads the, I can't even think of the name of it, leads the organization of sorts of where these guys go to train. That dude's crazy. I know that might be bad to say, but like, I did not like him at all, because he's basically telling these young guys that you depend on yourself. You don't depend on your teammates. If you want to make that goal, you go for it and you get all the spotlight. And so Blue Lock is about who's going to be number 1 and be the best in Japan. It's a really good story, but it was really like dark for sports manga in my opinion. I hear we're getting an anime, and I would be really interested to see this on screen, because while I'm like, I don't know if I would read the manga, I would watch the anime, because it was, I mean, like I said, it was a story like I have never read when it comes to sports. I mean, it's frustrating at times seeing how there's not a focus on that teamwork aspect, which is something I personally love about sports manga. But the story itself and just the intensity, and, you know, you get to know the different guys. I really do enjoy when, like, I mean, they're sort of forming a team, I think, but it's still more selfish and about that person. And there was this one character that came in, and he basically like changes everything for the main character. And he's pretty crazy as well, though not in a bad way. Like, he just is very intense, and I feel like he's a little bit wild. So I would love to definitely dive back into this world. I can see the growing hype of it in the bookish community and people really interested in Blue Lock, and I've definitely seen a push to get this printed. And if it was, I would actually be excited. I wouldn't purchase this series for myself, but I would definitely see if my library would get it so that I could keep reading, because it's good. It's good. For number 4, I haven't talked about this series in a while, but it did release, and that is Golden Japanesque, a splendid Yokohama romance. I was just reading this the other day, actually. I was skimming through it because volume 3, I think, is releasing next month. I think the release date got pushed back. And, Maria is just so amazing. I really love the hopefully soon-to-be couple in this story. It's very sweet. I don't like the mom. hands down. I do not like her at all. She's sort of like the mom in my book that has the worst mom award. My friend's like, there's worse moms, but I was like, she's pretty bad in my book. I do not like her at all. But I think it's the guy's name is Rintaro. Yes, Rintaro. I do like the male hero a lot. And I didn't necessarily think he was a bully when we first meet him. He just likes to tease quite a bit. But the way he cheers on Maria when they finally get to know each other is so good. I love when you have just a wholesome romance and how both characters just encourage one another without even any romance interest behind what they're saying, if that makes sense. Yes, I mean, they still like the other person, but Rintaro just, man, he really just encourages Maria in a way that she desperately needs, and it makes her a better person, not just a potential better love interest. Well, not potential, they are love interests, but makes her just a better person. Like, I really, really, really like that a lot. And the story is very cute. There was a lot of good stuff in this one. Stuff does not reflect anything, Laura, but there was a lot of good stuff. That's just all I can say without saying spoilers. But it was very, very good, and it was a strong debut in my opinion. I was very invested and very hooked, and also my heart was like, Maria, because just the things that her mom says, like, no mom should ever say to their child, like, ever. So that was really hard for me, because I was like, I really don't like your mom, but the grandma, she's really awesome. So this is a really, really good series. I'm super duper pumped for Volume 3 to be releasing, and I highly recommend this. For number 5, this was also a arc that I got from NetGalley, though it was published through Viz Media, or like the manga was, and that is World Peace. I have not seen anybody talk about World Peace at all, and I'm really excited because as a non-Japanese manga creator, the manga of this is, I think he's Canadian, I believe, or he's Polish, and his illustrator is Canadian, but they are not Japanese, and so I find that really, really inspiring for me, because I'm like, yay, like there's other people creating manga that aren't Japanese, because there is a stigma there. And so I found that really inspiring, and that was actually a huge reason why I wanted to review this. And not only that, but the premise is very interesting. You have this young man who something happens to him, and he basically can hold Earth in the palm of his hand because Earth shrinks, and now he's in this other world. I really enjoyed this. The uniqueness and just the creativity was incredible. It reminded me of Star Wars. It's nothing like Star Wars, except for maybe just when Anakin goes to the city in the prequels, and there are just so many different people there. You have aliens, humans, and everything mixed in. The world in World Peace reminded me of a lot of that, and I really like that. That just gave me sort of some happiness, because I was like, I love Star Wars, so that was a good connection for me. But the story was really, really interesting. It was, like I said, very unique, and one that I have not heard of or seen anywhere, and I would be extremely curious to see what happens in this story. There were some excellent characters, and I don't necessarily know if there is a romance, but I love the female character a lot. I loved her backstory, and even the one guy that makes an appearance, everybody has this really unique backstory to them that sort of, I was going to say defines their action. I don't think define is the right word that I'm trying to use, but just their reasoning of why they do what they do. I thought that was very, very good, and the art was very crisp and clean. It was a fun and engaging story, and I'm just so excited that Viz is creating a line of manga that is made by Western creators. That's super duper cool, and I have a friend that's been really interested in trying to submit to see if she can maybe get part of the line. That'd be really cool. But I look forward to seeing more of what they will do with this series. It was, I feel a really strong debut, and I'm excited just to see what Viz does with all of this. That was a good read, and I meant to do a video review, and then I forgot to do one, though I do have a review on Beneath the Tangles from when it first released, so I'll leave a link down below in case if you'd like to check it out there. But it was great. It was really good. And I guess that wraps up this Top 5 Wednesday for my top 5 debut authors, or in this case, just manga that I really wanted to spotlight. that just need some love for their debuts in America. Let me know what are some debut mangas that you have read and some of their works. I would love to hear from you, friends, and see just what you have read this year. Totally let me know. And if you enjoyed this video, please give a thumbs up and subscribe. And thanks so much for watching. Bye!